Are you okay? What's wrong with you?
Not so great. The pandemic of COVID-19 is getting worse all over the world.
I feel you, but do you know there's new types of COVID-19 spreading now?
I know. I'm panicking. I'm not sure what will happen in the future.
Me either. And I'm wondering what we can do to overcome this threat.
I think that is why we are going to talk about this project. Today, our topic is fear of the unknown.
To overcome the fear of COVID-19 and new mutations.
We will now give a first brief overview of COVID-19. COVID-19 was first documented in the large city of Wuhan, China at the start of December 2019. Being a transport hub, and with the Chinese New Year migration happening at that time, it was the ideal start for the early virus.
It quickly spread to the neighboring provinces. Then it reached Italy and the rest of the world. From there, it snowballed, and soon COVID-19 was a global pandemic.
It's now 2021. Here's all the world's confirmed cases. The countries that have surpassed over 10 million cases of infections are the US and India. Brazil is close with 8 million cases. Now we're moving on to the total deaths.
According to the charts, deaths has been increasing periodically every week. As in here, most countries that have over 100,000 deaths are in Americas, with the US, Brazil, and Mexico. India also surpasses this number.
As you can see from these charts, the number of deaths and infections have not been improving. So to a not well-informed person who looks at this data, it would seem to them there is no situation where this will be cured without a cure or vaccine. But now we're going to show you that the world has been improving and has been trying to minimize the damage as much as possible.
We are going to show you our own research and evidence to prove that we shouldn't be worried about the unknown world that is COVID-19. The contents of our research are as follows. We are going to introduce the motivation behind this and what we hope to achieve with this. Give a rundown of the questionnaire we made for our research and give our own answers to these questions. Then we will end it with a conclusion.
During times of the unknown, no one knows what will happen every next second, such as COVID-19. When we try to see information about COVID-19, people will be affected by reports of rising deaths and infections. Misinformation can be quite convincing and might seem true. It can even cause us to fear the unknown even more. So we want to give some solutions.
Since the outbreak of COVID-19, the number of confirmed cases has been gradually increasing around the world, and Taiwan is no exception. So we would like to show you our opinions on how to manage this fear, how to overcome it, and show why we shouldn't fear it.
To make a well-organized project, we've applied many of our background knowledge and skills from these 5 classes that we learned. In our English news class, we read an article titled Plague Doctors, Heroes of the Dark Age. It talks about this terrible plague that broke out and all the residents were panicking. Many doctors came in with these special masks to help them, but they came up with weird and dangerous ways to cure their patients.
Also, in our English reading and writing class, we learned a lot from the article called The Natural World Stress Over Corona Lockdown. It's because the COVID-19 outbreak may ruin the economy of cities, but it actually comes with positive effects, such as the reduction of pollution.
And after learning how to make and use a PowerPoint for our digital technology applications class, getting some basic and professional presentation skills from our presentation class, as well as making proper written reports from our project making class, we thought it would be good to use our skills with presentation and knowledge on COVID-19 and new mutations to make something informative and possible solutions to not fear the unknown.
We would like to know the reasons for people's fear of COVID-19 and what will people do when they face the future. Our research questions are as follows. 1. What is the most fear about COVID-19? 2. What should we do when we face the unknown and how do we overcome it?
We conducted an online survey based on the questionnaire we designed. The participants were between ages 16 to 18. About 80% of them were female and the other 20% were male. We collected 108 valid responses over 3 weeks. Our results are as follows.
Here are the results of our first question. The most popular option was being quarantined for 14 days with no human interactions. About 23% of people fear of having COVID-19. About 15% of people are afraid of the lack of supplies for our protection against the virus. And then there's some people with the virus that fear death and that they will die someday.
Here's the result of the second question. Most people choose to accept the fact from the article and reports. About 23% of people would like to implement safety measures as soon as possible, and about 15% of people would do something to relax. According to the research data mentioned above, we are going to give you our own opinions and answers to these questions. What should we do when we face the unknown?
As the data shows, being quarantined is the most feared. Let's start off being isolated from the rest of society while still being within its herds. We're used to interacting with others in person on a daily basis, and the Taiwanese culture can only be truly experienced by going outside. So, if we can't do that, we're starting to dread and life can take a toll on our mental health.
In addition, some relevant research provided in the CDC website also confirms this, as our bodies depend on social interactions, because back then, being alone meant less chance of survival. Therefore, isolation resulting from quarantine can also be a deadly part of the viruses and can even affect our mental states.
What should we do when we face the unknown, and how do we overcome it?
People may all worry about the serious situation going on with the certain virus and don't know what to do next. If we are to stay safe, our first priority should be taking care of our bodies and follow regulations set by health organizations.
The obvious one is to wear a mask when you go out. We need to cover our nose and mouth with it completely and replace or sanitize it every day. Another one is to regularly wash our hands before we touch our nose or mouth. We can get rid of the potential virus on our hands as the water can wash away the shell that is protecting the virus cell. We should avoid going to crowded area so that we can avoid close contacts. The last one is keeping a social distance, which can reduce the spread of viruses. If we follow these basic ways above, it will greatly decrease the risk of infection.
Moreover, we should learn to accept these uncertainties, focus for a moment, and make ourselves know we are experiencing history. Finally, we should always tell ourselves not to panic or be sad. Many people will feel depressed when they are quarantined, and this will cause them to mental health problems. Thus, try to stay in mind that quarantine is for our safety. We are still alive and we shouldn't panic.
Former President of South Africa, Nelson Mandela said, "And that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers like fear." We don't even want to follow the rules set by the government, accept the facts, and gain the courage to overcome our fear. We will be a winner eventually.
So, even though there's new types of COVID-19 emerging, we can still work around our mistakes from the old and work around them in the new. We've seen what a pandemic can do to those who are not prepared or willing to accept that this virus is real. And it's time to do our part, who risk their lives to help protect us and help us try to get back to our normal life. So remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, go out only if you need to, be rational and optimistic, but most importantly, be safe.
This is the end of our presentation. Thank you. 周璇